Around 5.5 million young people in the United States are not in school or working. JPMorgan Chase announced plans this week to make a dent in that number. The bank is giving 10 states a total of $20 million in grants. The aim is to provide students who graduate from high school the skills they need to compete for high-skill, well-paying jobs.
Among all these kids who are failing, there is a Colin Powell, there is a Mike Bloomberg, there's a Barack Obama, there's an Albert Einstein, and we'll never know. That's what we're losing.
JPMorgan Chase Chairman and CEO Jamie Dimon is heading the Education Initiative. He's also chairman of the Business Roundtable, the nation's largest group of business leaders. He serves on President-elect Donald Trump's Strategic and Policy Forum. And in the interest of full disclosure, he's a friend of mine, and I occasionally do interviews with big deal people at a conference.
Occasionally?
Occasionally. Tell me, you have had a strong initiative within JPMorgan to employ veterans.
Yeah.
What's this about?
Yeah. So first of all, I want to say I'm happy to be here. You're also a friend of mine. Charlie's one class act for those who don't know him personally, and happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice.
We started this effort years ago called the 100,000 Jobs Effort for Veterans. And we've hired now, not JPMorgan, it's like 200 companies, 300,000 vets. It's now the Million Jobs mission. And I think we're going to get there. So vets are trained. They're teamwork players. They know what to do. They don't even know their own skills because they could be in logistics, supply, network, communications. So it's a great effort to take the citizens that we hold in the highest regard and get them jobs.
But now you started this new program about a year ago, and you're going after high school students.
Yeah.
Especially at a time when they're really searching, trying to figure out what am I going to do with my life. Yeah. What are you trying to do for their lives?
There is an economic and moral imperative in this country that we get jobs for kids, and we have too many kids, particularly in inner city schools, who don't graduate. If they do graduate from high school, they're not qualified for a job. So this is all the things they need, from social skills to specific skills to get kids jobs: radiology, aviation, coding. There are going to be 16 million jobs available in the next 7 or 8 years or something like that. And these kids want jobs, and these are middle class jobs. These jobs pay $40,000 to $60,000 a year. Yeah. So corporate, and it has to be done with companies and government. It cannot be done by one or the other.
Why does it matter to you, Jamie Dimon? Because you could do anything with anybody. As Charlie said, you know a lot of important people.
Yeah. Big companies are very philanthropic, but we're all invested in having communities that work for everybody. If America thrives and the cities are healthy and everything else, that's better for all of us. It's better for business, it's better for social, it's better for families, so I said, it's a moral imperative. I would do it for that reason alone, but it's also an economic imperative. America needs to compete around the world, and if we don't have trained employees, we're not going to compete as well.
Are you suggesting that public-private partnerships are a way to go?
I think when it comes to this, it has to be public, private, and local. So the jobs you need in San Francisco are different than the jobs you need in New York. Montefiore needs phlebotomists and radiologists. Certain parts of the city. I was in Focus Hope, in Detroit, where they need machine control operators. And these are tough jobs.
But Donald Trump said he's going to be the greatest jobs producer God ever created. Can you top that?
I hope he's right.
Yeah.
So, how is Donald Trump going to affect business, and what would you like to see from Donald Trump with respect to?
I'm going to be very parochial for a second before I'm going to say the best person to read about Donald Trump is my daughter, who writes for the Daily News.
Laura Dimon.
Laura Dimon, who was in the paper this morning, and
a loving father.
Yeah, and
entering a worthy profession, journalism.
Which I think is a very worthy profession. It needs to be done. It needs to be done well. And
what page is it on, Jamie? What page is our article on?
I think it's page 3 or 5.
Oh, you happen to know? Okay.
And it was about some things he said yesterday.
So what do you want to see from a president?
It is any president. It is important that we have a healthy, vibrant economy. It's important for jobs. It's important for business. It's important for middle class wages. It's important for low skilled wages. And I'm hoping that a lot of the policies they're talking around, because they're talking about tax reform, which we desperately need. Yeah. And that's probably the most important thing. But there are a whole bunch of other series of things like infrastructure.
But do you agree with his opinions on trade?
Yeah.
And not really, but I think his opinions so far have been, one-liners. And he's quite clear when you read The Art of the Deal and stuff like that he takes an extreme position. But he's hired a lot of professional people. He's putting on the playing field, people that are experienced, successful, smart, patriotic, and then they got to get to the detail. It's going to be a lot of detail: trade, tax, and.
Did he talk to you about being Treasury Secretary?
was not offered the job. I've never thought I was suited for the job. I had a contact with them, and I'm thrilled with what I'm doing. I haven't finished what I'm doing at JPMorgan Chase, the Business Roundtable. And
let me ask you specifically.
And I know Steve Mnuchin, and I think he's quite qualified. He's very smart. He wants to do the right thing. He knows them quite well, so I think they're forming.
And Rex Tillerson?
Rex Tillerson is a class act. I mean, again, he's smart and he's patriotic. I listened to some of the press about, that he had dealings in Russia. Well, almost every big company is dealing in Russia. That doesn't mean he's not a patriot. I wouldn't question a man's patriotism like that. And the other thing is people talk about that they're successful. I said, think of the counterfactual. Do you want to have unsuccessful people in these jobs?
Right.
Is that the measure we're going to be? So successful, experienced, respected by everyone he deals with around the world. I think that's a pretty good trait.
I want to get your take, though, on globalism or anti-globalism.
Yeah.
One of the things Donald Trump said yesterday was that companies that move jobs outside the U.S. will face a, quote, very large border tax. Yeah. Are you worried about trade? How it affect the economy?
Not. Again, I'm looking past the one-liners and thinking about what's important for America. So a lot of us do business all around the world. Part of America's competitiveness is because we have Microsoft, because we have Boeing, because we have JPMorgan Chase, and we have to educate the world the importance of that. But there are downsides, So in this election, and I guess around the world, you've seen people recognizing there are downsides to trade. People have been hurt. So in general, it's been good. It's lifted 2 billion people out of poverty. There are towns in America who've been devastated by it. We have to do a better job fixing that, meaning trade, this thing called trade assistance, so that if you get hurt by trade, relocation, re-education, business development, so that the people who are hurt are taken care of. And I think we have to do all these various things to make sure it works for everybody in America.
You're off to Davos next week, I assume.
Yes, fortunately, but yes.
Yeah.
The president of China, Xi Jinping, will be there, and it's getting a lot of attention.
Yeah.
And some are suggesting that China is now the leader of globalization. And the United States is seeming to be feeding populism and the resistance to what we know as globalization.
Yeah. And look, I think it's good that he's going there. China is a large country. It's so far behind the United States, it's not even funny. So, and I say that respectfully, they have 500 million people living in poverty, not enough food, water, and energy. They don't have our wide, deep capital markets. They don't have our education system. They don't have our rule of law. They don't have most of what we have, our innovation capabilities. And again, I'm saying that respectfully to China. So what you just said isn't true. But, I understand that China wants to rise up among the world and take its rightful place, and that's understandable. But it's in my personal opinion, it's very important that America maintain its superior economic position, which, by the way, is the foundation of the superior military position. They go hand in hand. And America has been so important for the growth of the world, the consistency of the world, the economic freedom of the world, the spray of democracy, that we shouldn't lose that. So we got.
Are you optimistic about the Trump presidency? How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, I am.
Because?
Because he's putting professionals in the field.
Okay.
If you want to win the game, put Tom Brady in the field. You want to lose the game.
Are you a Patriots fan too?
Partially, because Robert Kraft is a good friend of mine. And
let me just ask.
And now the Giants are out. I want them to win. Yes.
Yeah.
What's essential for the United States, regardless of the presidency, to do to maintain its leadership in terms of innovation, in terms of science, in terms of technology?
Yeah, so the important thing is what I'm about to talk to is good for all Americans. So when big business comes out and speaks, they speak about kind of what's good for business, but this is what's good for America, okay? Growing America, having a healthy, vibrant America, small business to large businesses, and they're very symbiotic. Every big business does business with 40,000 vendors out there. It's going to be around tax reform. What we're doing in taxes is driving capital, brains, R&D overseas, and it's a bad idea. And part of it's irreversible. We've got to reverse it right away. Jobs, having kids educated, is the biggest moral imperative we have. It is a disgrace. We should bring in alarm bells. And it's our education system. So it's the existing system which is broken. And it's our inability to create jobs. Like I said, there can be 16 million jobs available. And if you want wages to go up, those two things will do it. They'll get middle wages up.
Certainly, Jamie
And one other
Dimon,
thing
your passion.
we should also add, and I'm
Got to
grateful.
go, Jamie Dimon.
Okay.
Go ahead. Finish the sentence.
Earned income tax credit, which is basically negative tax. So we have people earning $7 or $8 an hour. The government will give them $3 or $4. It gives them living wages. It gives them the dignity of a job. It helps small businesses, not big companies. I think we have to do something like that too.
Well,
thank you.
I hope you feel as good as you look. You had a health scare recently, but you look fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. You all look great too. Thank you. You guys do a great job.
Thank you.